Hey out there. This is Friday, October 6th, 2017. And it's about 5 minutes past 9 in the morning here in Northern California. And the same thing is on my mind that is on everybody's mind, of course, the massacre in Vegas. Sunday evening, October 1st, 2017. And like everybody else, I'm beyond devastated. We're all traumatized as a collective and individually. I mean, we've got so many stressors in our personal and private lives, and this horrific event is just something else. And I want to get into it a lot here in a minute because osmotically, we're all connected as human beings, and there's no escaping the fact that we're all victims of the Las Vegas shooting. And this should not be the state of affairs in America in the 21st century. But it's by deliberation that we've got this kind of vitriol, this kind of animus, this kind of hatred, this kind of vicious, vindictive spirit that is free to roam the streets of America. I think the mainstream media, and particularly the national syndicated media that's reading off a script, taking orders from their boss, that's their puppet above them, and their boss is taking orders from the puppet above him, and on in that theme, the pyramid of puppetry. So these people not only have a scarlet letter of adultery around their necks now, but they've got a scarlet letter of mass murder around their neck now because of the way they report. That they seem to consent and condone every kind of hateful taunt and rhetoric and satirical attempt against the president. And, of course, by extension, all the people that have faith in the president, that trust in the president. Okay? And it's going too far. And I'm going to show an example of what I'm talking about here in a second. I'm going to run a local news piece here from Chico, California, where there's a store, women's clothing, it looks like, stored right downtown Chico in the old town, not in one of the strip malls that are like every other town in America, but right downtown. And they rented a billboard, and they depicted Trump as a Nazi, and with swastikas, the whole bit, and it's amazing that any advertising company would allow that in the first place. To me, it is. They don't have to. I mean, it just goes beyond the pale. I mean, it's just, it was horrendous, but again, free speech, First Amendment, America. I'm probably the last guy that's going to try to squelch or subdue anybody's free speech rights. So while I find it exceedingly distasteful, acutely distasteful, I'm not sure I would ban it, because then there's the flip side of that, is that other people's speech gets banned too. But free speech does have its boundaries. It has to. Because we all know that a small spark can start quite a large fire. And it's very provocative, in my estimation, and very negative, and very disrespectful, just on a human-to-human level. This idea that Trump is this monster, and there's people that would sooner slap him in the face than shake his hand. It's just, to me, it's repugnant. It's repellent. It goes against everything I believe as a moral, upright, decent human being that cares about his fellow human beings at large, okay, bar none, unconditionally. That's all my fellow human beings. And I just don't understand that kind of disrespect toward any other human being. And look, I admire the president immensely. I mean, I honestly do. I mean, a man that could live the life of Riley, and he's sticking his neck out, and he's controversial. All the establishment hates him, from the Pope to these neocons and some of the worst people. They say they're communists, but communists, look, I've met some nice socialist communist people, and I think that their intentions are good for the most part. That they believe they're the good guys. They believe they're egalitarian. They believe they're good Americans. They believe that in good things. So I have known some good communists, some good socialists. I'm going to put that out there. But they're not unreasonable people. They're people that you can talk to, have a conversation with, have discourse with, have debate with, and disagree with, and still be friends with, and still love each other at the end of the day. So I know that there's, the true communist, a true socialist, to me, at least believes what they believe. And I admire that. I respect that. Okay, because as a man thinketh, and perception is reality. So you've got to respect that. I mean, if you are convinced that somebody is deceived in their thought processes, then you have a right, and maybe even a duty, an obligation, to point out to them where they're off base, where the error of their thinking. Okay, but in a way that's going to be attractive and effective and productive. Okay, so you've got to be magnetic. You've got to be, it's got to be a respect, love, and all that is involved here. Okay, in order to win somebody over. So if you're genuine and you're not just caving into venting, okay, your own frustrations and saying, I know I'm right. And, so, you're worthy to be disrespected as you disrespect me. And, somebody's got to take the high road here. And, this term virtue signaling is being bandied about all the time. And I think, that's an interesting term because, it kind of reminds me of the social warrior thing. Well, I think of myself as a social warrior. What's wrong with that? And virtue, what's wrong with virtue? But you see, that's what's going on here. They're turning bad into good, like it's good to be a hypocrite and an elitist, just, well, a little bit. I mean, we can't have equality. So, as long as I'm one of the hypocrites and elitists and I get the privilege, above your privilege, then I'm with that camp of thought, right? Even though it's ugly, it's immoral, it's unethical, it's living by a double standard, they go for it. So, look, the point is we're in this thing together. We're one family, and we've got to care about what God thinks. So the ball is in the court of the true patriots out there at this point. And the best advice I can give is tune into the Spirit of God. Be prayerful. This is horrible. I mean, I can't imagine having been at this event in Las Vegas and had this happen to me. Think of all the people that are affected by this. I've got family down there. My former wife lives down there. Okay, my daughter's half sister lives there. My former father-in-law lives there. My children's step grandmother lives there. My daughters have uncles that live there. So I've got a lot of family down there, and quite easily somebody could have been there. I mean, I got a daughter I consider quite liberal, quite probably socialist, in San Francisco. But, she likes country music. Okay, I've heard her listening to it when I visited her at her apartment in San Francisco. And, look, she was brought up with a dad like me. And, she's gotten a pretty good earful, I think. So I don't know the kind of powerful influences of people, but, I know they're out there that can turn somebody socialist. And my own dad, I mean, he was pretty much, he liked Che Guevara. I'm going to be straight up with you. And I don't know what that's all about. And I touched on it once while he was still alive about why. This was when I started listening to Alex Jones, and I found out that Che Guevara was this racist, and then I found out, yeah, he was kind of a brutal murderer, and shot people point blank in the head, this sort of thing. I understand, and so look, God Almighty. I mean, if these people that are pulling the strings at the very top of this thing, the money masters of misery and all their cohorts, the sycophantic politicians, that's what's going on here. Remember John McCain's ties to ISIS, and then Antifa and George Soros is in the mix, Hillary Clinton. We know we got these really bad actors in America that are causing these problems at the top, okay? And we've got to understand that. But if they get their way and they cause a civil war, and they cause this irreconcilable difference, then it's not going to be hashed out until a lot of anti-communists are dead, until a lot of communist sympathizers are dead. Okay, so let's all put that in our collective pipe and smoke it as one family, not just of America, but of the planet, okay, as earthlings, okay, just being God's children, saying, look, I don't want this. I want to live in peace and safety and security and prosperity and freedom with my fellow human beings. So how to proceed forward, we should be very circumspect, okay, introspective, and just be true to ourselves and say, look, I'm going to set the example here. I'm going to take the high road. Call me virtue signaling. Call me a social justice warrior. I don't care. I want peace, not war. What does the Bible say? What did Jesus Christ say? It's the peacemakers that are going to be called sons of God. And even if you don't give a crap about being called a son of God, I don't. I mean, we all are. That used to be considered blasphemous to say that. But even Jesus caught a lot of flack for saying that. Okay, it made the authorities cringe and seethe with hatred to say that. But look, we can all choose to be sons and daughters of God, okay, children of God, and to be his friend. And if that's virtue signaling, I'm sorry, but I don't see any avail. I don't see any profit in that. Okay, because all I want to do is get the reward that's promised from storing my treasures in heaven where neither rust nor moth destroys. And that treasure has to be the same treasure that God wants. Okay, that's friends, souls, you and me, human beings, each other. We are the best. We are beyond. All the gold, all the silver in the world is not worth as much to God, okay, as one human being. So let's be very clear that what we've been taught and trained to believe is contrary to what God teaches us, okay? But the world is filled with the Antichrist spirit. Remember, Satan, that spirit thereof, whatever, is still in charge. Jesus spelled this out. So there's these bad people that will do anything to get their way in perpetuity and just increase their stranglehold on humanity. They're walking a tightrope. They're pushing an envelope. And they're just going to keep on pushing as hard as they can, because the option is that this thing turns around. This worm turns. The tide starts going out on them. And that's what they're seeing. And they're with great wrath. The Bible explains this in the book of Revelation, that this evil force has been cast down and it's confined to the world now. So this is, at the end of the day, is like so many people will tell you, it's a spiritual thing. What's going on is spiritual. As far as what happened in that hotel, okay, as soon as I started thinking it, like Columbo, okay, you start realizing, hey, BS, okay, I call shenanigans on this, and thank God so did the local authorities.